Hey everybody, this is Brittany here from Surfing Waves of Light. Today I am making a video about my Phillies and baseball synchronicities, what I'm learning from baseball, and then sharing some really cool stories at the very end about some holes in the time warp continuum, which I talked about in my last video, one specifically with my little sister and Travis Kelsey and Jason Kelsey. And so stick around to the end of this video to check that out. It is so worth hearing because a lot of cool stuff is happening right now. So I want to start this video by going over some of my Philly synchronicities, what I'm learning from baseball and the Phillies, and then I'm going to go into a segment that I recorded about a week ago when I was in the midst of the first two games of this series for the Phillies. So the timing might be a little weird. You might hear me say last night and I mean a week ago, but just know that now that I have clarity about what this video is supposed to be, it's going to be so much better with this intro explanation now. And just so you all know, today is October 24th. It is game 7 of the series for the Philadelphia Phillies, 7 of 7, which determines if they go to the World Series. So I'm going to the game tonight. I didn't get to go to the game last night. They are tied 3-3 with the other team, and so tonight is a big night, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, is all I want to say. But so on the eve of this really exciting event, go Phillies, and listen up for what I am learning from baseball. Spirituality in baseball. That is what I'll probably call this video. All right, so I first want to start off by saying that I am never seeking things out that aren't within my vortex, and I'll talk about this later on in the video. So the Phillies are really in my vortex, and here are some of the reasons why. One, my little sister works for the Philadelphia Phillies. And so one of the perks of her job is she gets to get tickets to the games at a discounted price at which I can go. So that's one thing. So it's not like I'm like going online, StubHub, trying to find these. No. And as one of 3 family members, or 2 other besides her, because it's just me, my sister, and my mom now that my dad has passed, I'm high up on the list if I want to get a ticket because she likes me and I'm her family. So that's the first synchronicity. Number 2. The Philly fanatic. Carly is not my only tie to the Phillies or an aspect of the Phillies. Through a company I work for with my aunt and uncle, Dylan Marcus, we actually work with the Philly fanatic. My uncle Evan co-wrote a book called Feel the Love, P-H-E-E-L, the love. And it's a great book. He co-wrote it with the Philly fanatic. And so sometimes I work with them. We do consulting work around that book. It's a great book. It talks about these 7 principles around business and how the Philly fanatic, what he does, can be incorporated into your business as far as the things he does. And in case you didn't know, the Philly fanatic is the #1 mascot in all of sports. And it's just a whole funny thing. Like, I don't even know what he is. He's from the Galapagos Islands. He's not even like a real thing. He's a Philly. And that's just funny too. So I love that about Philly. Most other mascots are, eagles or snakes or just like a normal animal, but the Philly fanatic is kind of this made-up creature, and I like that about him. So that's my second synchronicity with the Philadelphia Phillies. Number 3 synchronicity with the Philadelphia Phillies is there is a player on the team right now that looks exactly like my boyfriend Greg, and I will flash a photo right now so you can see. Look at these two. I mean, first of all, who looks like Greg? And then second of all, what baseball player looks like that? And so there's player Brandon Marsh. He looks exactly like Greg. And to me, when people look alike, I take that as a synchronicity. My guides know that. And so I just think it's hilarious. And on top of that, the entire team kind of has this surfery, grungy vibe, like longer hair, and they're all so cute. And so, I let my guides guide me that way too. They know that I love cute boys. I love my boyfriend, but it's just fun because most baseball players, they look, kind of buzz cutted and all American. And I like sort of, long hair, beards, and surfery looking guys. So yeah. So anyway, I'm drawn to that. And for me, that's synchronicity. And then the final synchronicity is that the fans of Philadelphia are super awesome. They are well known in all sports to be both kind of cruel, but also super dedicated. And as you'll hear later on in this video, we're pretty accustomed to losing. And the energy of the Philadelphia Phillies stadium has been super uplifting my spirits. And sometimes I think when you're not feeling so good, you just got to go where the energy is good. And it's totally been making me feel super high vibe. So, and I'm bringing that energy right back to them. All right. And so you're probably wondering, why do you care that I'm having all these synchronicities around the Phillies? Well, you may care because I am getting some really good guidance and some good life lessons from attending these games and learning more about baseball and following this train wherever it is going. So the first thing I'm learning is that spirit works through everything. I've been in sort of an internal phase where I sort of withdrew from everything. I used to be really into sports, not particularly baseball, but I used to know everything about hockey and football, a little bit about baseball. My screen name when I was on AIM was Flyers Girl 13. Oh no, 27. That's my password. Not really. It's close to my password though, but I'm changing those so you can know that. So my AIM name was Flyers Girl 27 or 28, depending on the account. And so I was really into sports. I'm very athletic. I prefer to play sports as opposed to watch them, but I used to be really into it when I was younger, high school, college, and it's a great way to bond with friends. And so when I pulled back from sports, I kind of felt like there was too much idolatry, too much competition. There was a lot of negatives that I was seeing in professional sports for a while. And right now what I'm learning is that it doesn't even matter what the category is. Spirit can work through anything. So, and I think that's a good lesson for us to hear, because any judgment we're holding can close us off to a possible awesome experience. And we're here in this lifetime to have awesome experiences and some not so awesome experiences. The second thing I'm learning is that baseball statistics can really help us to understand the general flow of life. So a lot of times in our minds, we just want to be happy all the time. We want everything to be going good. We want our vibes to always be high. But what my friend Joe is telling me, and which probably a lot of people who watch baseball know, is that even the best players, when you look at their stats, it goes up and down like this. They might hit like 5 home runs or a bunch of home runs, and then they go back down and up and down. And the flow of life is like this, right? We're not always going to be happy, and we're not always going to be sad. We're always going to be kind of like having some upper moments, having some downer moments. And what I'm feeling that a spiritual being, an embodied spiritual being really is someone who can maintain the peace, who can remember, even after they've worked through the feelings, allowed the feelings to come up, they can remember that our job here on this planet is to vibe high and to remain at peace, whether we're having so much fun at a winning Phillies game or our boyfriend's in the hospital with a branch in his foot. And you can apply your own examples to that. And so baseball statistics can really show us that, how these hitters and these, pitchers, and they all go through it. So that's the energy. Another thing that I've been learning from these games, and I've talked about a little bit in the last video, and I'm going to talk about more in this video, is that when we're not super attached, it's easier to practice creation. So something that I've been doing at these Phillies games, and since I learned from pets who have been teaching me how to mean what I say, is that when I ground and center and I acknowledge who I am as a powerful creator by saying, I'm a powerful creator, this is my reality, and in my reality, the Phillies win, or Brandon Marsh hits a home run, or Alec Boehm hits a triple, right? Or gets a triple. I have been noticing that when I do that, some of these things are happening. Now, if I'm manifesting them or if I'm sensing energy, I'm not sure. But I do think the difference between a regular fan and me right now is that I am owning who I am as a powerful creator. I'm aware that what I perceive about the world is having an effect upon it, whereas most of the time we feel like we're at the will of the world. Like it's up to only the Phillies to decide, the players on the team, the organization to decide if they're going to win. And I'm starting to feel like, actually, I'm starting to really know within my heart that that's not true. So if that resonates with you, try practicing with something that isn't super meaningful. Like for me, I love the Phillies, but I'm going to be totally fine if they win or lose. And so I'm going to go to this game tonight and I'm going to send my best energy. And I'm going to have fun co-creating this game with the Phillies, the other fans at the stadium, and all the other energies that play a role in the outcome of who gets to go to the World Series tonight. And another thing too is I'm noticing that I'm really able to sense the players' energies. So at some point during these series, it's all starting to get confusing in my mind. A player, Nick Castellanos, he hit 2 home runs 2 games in a row, which was a world record. No one has ever done that before in the playoffs. And I'm telling you, when this dude got up to bat, I could see in his energy that he was grounded, centered, aligned. Like I already knew he was going to hit a home run. I didn't even have to see it because his energy just beamed success, home run, hit. I mean, I even feel like he knew. And now he's having a little bit, less great success at bats. But again, kind of showing us the flow of life, but also showing us that we can read energy. The pitchers, you can tell it with them when they start to get nervous or they start to get, out of whack. You can see their energy and then they start throwing crappier and crappier pitches. So I'm just noticing how, especially in baseball, energy, probably aligned chakras, plays such a huge role. And I'm kind of wondering, do these teams use any kind of chakra balancing, energy healers, mind coaches? Because the mental game in baseball is big. There's so much strategy. You're at bat. It's not one of those fast moving sports, except for when it is. Someone makes a hit and then you have to be so responsive. So that mental focus, that clarity, I'm guessing some aligned chakras, whether consciously or unconsciously, would make and does make a huge difference. So sensing their energies, working with their energies, I'm curious about that. And learning too. I'm going to watch them tonight and go, oh, I know, or I'm not, but I'm also going to co-create. It's going to be fun. Okay, number 4. The last thing I want to say is that with these holes in the time warp continuum, right? So the time warp continuum in my mind is basically like the 3D world when it was concrete, when that was what we were going to experience here, and it didn't really matter too much what we believed. And so this could even be a reflection of our consciousness, like back in the days when those times when we really believed the world was upon us and we didn't have a say. When our consciousness is like that, which 3D, the earth consciousness has been like that, majority of people on earth have been operating from that system. The time warp continuum, which is the illusion of this reality, was concrete. It was hard. There wasn't a lot of maneuverability, right? Because the world was happening to us. But now the consciousness is raising. A lot more people, even unconsciously and subconsciously, are becoming aware that their thoughts are playing a role in reality, whether they're having synchronicities or they thought about someone and they called them. Even if it's the tiniest awareness, this awareness is much more prevalent on the planet throughout more minds, which the minds of this planet make up the planet, basically. And so because of this awareness, this time warp continuum, which was so concrete before, it is thinning. And so there's holes in this time warp continuum. And so with these holes, I think this is a really important time to capitalize on the energies, because these holes can create good and bad situations, all of which are helping us get to our highest good. But it's a really great time to practice being a creator and to just be in that awareness and see what happens, dreaming big, vibrating high and seeing what you're attracting in your energy, which you're going to hear an awesome story at the end of this video about my sister and her energy. So just for the record, as of right now, I am 4 for 4 in Phillies games that I've gone to this season with wins. And I think that's cool. And now you're going to hear about some Phillies fun that I've been having about those games and the winning of it, and then a little bit more about the time warp continuum. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, and see you at the end. Bye. My sister works for the Philadelphia Phillies. Used to be a big sports fan, gone through sort of a spiritual transition where I was releasing a lot of those idols and kind of just stayed away, felt inspired to stay away. And last year the Phillies went all the way to the World Series. Didn't feel super interested in that for it. this year, I have been inspired to go to as many games as I can. My sister gets tickets. It's in my vortex. My cousin has been here. We've just been going to the games, having so much fun, dancing, just really enjoying the experience. These are things that have been in the vortex. Now, if you are from the Philadelphia area, you'll be pretty familiar that for the most of my life, we have lost. The Eagles have lost, the Flyers have lost, and the Phillies have lost. Even last year, the Phillies went to the World Series, they lost. The Eagles went to the Super Bowl pretty recently, maybe even last year. Sorry, I'm not super into it anymore. They lost. And so when I was really into it, and they lost. And so I've always sort of had this kinship with the underdog and been really adjusted to losing when it comes to these sports. Now, I've been going to these games, and I'm not going to say, well, I'm going to say that I'm an all-powerful creator, because I do really believe that. The first game of this season that I went to, I experienced something called a no-hitter, which is extremely rare in baseball. Now, I haven't been to a baseball game in years. I go to one game.
Happened to throw a no-hitter while we're there, which
people that are baseball fans that go to baseball for years and years and years never experience that. And I didn't even know it was happening most of the game. So that was one thing. Then the second game that I went to was with Greg, his dad, and my cousins, and we had a blast, and the Phillies won, and there was just so much excitement in the air. Then the other game that I went to, literally the Phillies hit like 6 home runs while I was there. And it was interesting because the first 2 innings of that game, I was feeling really ungrounded, really nervous, a little unsettled, just really feeling for the team. And I took a moment and I sat in my chair and I just said to myself, I'm a powerful creator and this is my reality. And in my reality, the Phillies win. And so I grounded and I centered and I set my intention for the universe that that grounding and centering could be transmitted to the players, help however they needed to, opening them up to that. And seriously, the next inning, they hit like 5 home runs. Now, I'm not going to take full responsibility for that, but I do really feel that we have the ability to create, and that these holes in the 3D time warp energy are allowing us to be more powerful creators, whereas things were sort of set in stone before. Things were, this was going to happen and this was going to happen. There was a reality that was more fine-tuned and stand still. Now there's lots of holes in the time warp reality, and our intention and our knowingness of being an aspect of God and being powerful creators, we can have an effect on the reality, a real one, through our grounding and centering, through our inner peace, through our lack of attachment. And so that game ended up being super fun. The whole game, we just got to have fun because they were leading the whole game. The next game that I didn't go to, it was a nail biter. I mean, it was back and forth, losing, this, that, and they ended up winning at the very end. But the whole time, my stomach was in knots. And I was like, and I was trying to get grounded and centered, but I did feel like somehow my presence and my cousin, because we just have been, and my sister, we've just been having so much fun. And Philly has been so cool. There's just been, the vibes have been so good. People are just so happy. And while I know that sports in that theme are quite an idol, I do think that raising a vibration is really important, and that Philadelphia needs a vibration uplift, and this may be one of the ways the universe is working through the Philadelphia Phillies to lift up the vibration and possibly help Philadelphia transmute into a higher frequency place. There's a lot of history here, and I do think Philadelphia has a role to play. And do think that's part of the reason I was born in New Jersey and live here, because most people think I'm from California or Hawaii or like a place where there's beaches, but I was born here in New Jersey, and my whole life has been spent at the Jersey Shore. And I just think that there is something in my purpose that has to do with Philadelphia and all of these things. So then last night I went to another game. The vibes were so good. And of course, the first at bat, because again, I'm telling you, I grounded and centered, and I said, I'm a powerful creator. This is my reality, and I get to have a say in what happens here. And doing that from a place of joy and peace and non-attachment, right? I'm not going to cry or be so sad if the Phillies lose, but just telling the universe what I want, and not being afraid to say that. And that has been a huge realization that I'm going to talk about in a second. So the first batter gets on the mound, first pitch hits a home run. That is how we started the game last night. And then there was 3 other home runs, and we ended up winning 5-3, and it got a little close at the end. And the second I left, this is the other thing. Okay, again, I'm not, I'm going to say I'm a powerful creator. So I left to go get a beer and a pretzel or something. I left for 1 minute. I look at the scoreboard. The other team scored 2 runs. And I'm like, how important is my attention? And I think, too, being in person, there's a little bit more that you get to add to that event, whereas being far away. So I've been saying to my little sister, me and my cousin Nikki, we have been, I think, adding to the energy. And there is something that we really have so much love, so much empathy. There's something we've been cultivating for a long time. And you might think I'm crazy, but that has been the internal guidance that I get to have a say in what goes on. And I've been really feeling like that is something that we need to become aware of. So there's a lot of benefits to these things happening. Like for me, before I was stepping away from these idols of sports, but now as I'm being guided to come back into them and then using my intention and being really grounded in who I am as a creator, I feel like it's having an effect. And so sometimes these bad things are happening. Like part of the reason I wanted to go to a game was because I was in the hospital with Greg for a week. I was so tired and I just needed to let loose and have an outlet. And there was something about that energy that was really filling me up. And I was surprised because for so long that idolatry was a part of sports. But right now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let whatever energies are uplifting, and I'm not going to judge where they're coming from, because right now the whole purpose is to uplift, is to bring the vibes up. And that's what we're working on, raising our vibration, however that looks, because all the systems need to be changed. So if we're just stepping away from them and ignoring them, we don't get to play our role as creators. So like I said, I'm not saying I'm seeking out things that are out of my vortex, but just coming into these awarenesses of, well, my sister works there. I can get tickets to every single game if I want to, basically. And so I'm going to take those opportunities. I'm going to say yes to those life experiences. All right, sorry, my computer keeps freezing or almost dying, but I need to get this message out. Another thing that I want to say about the holes in the time-space reality, the warps. My little sister who works for the Phillies, she loves Taylor Swift. And of course, Taylor Swift, all these beings are idols. And there's a lot of chat in the news right now about how she may be dating a football player named Travis Kelce. Well, my sister had to work at the Phillies game last night, so she couldn't sit with us. And she had to go sit in the suites, which is fine. It's a great place to sit. And she is sitting in her seat, just watching the game, like doing her thing, vibrating high, because right now she always vibrates super high. But of course, with all this energy coming on and her being a part of this organization, she is vibrating so high. She is sitting there, and guess who comes and sits down right next to her? Can you guess? It isn't Taylor Swift, but it is Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. Now again, I know that these beings are idols in their form of existence for most people, but doesn't that just show you the warp in the time-space continuum that is occurring? She didn't sit there after them. She was doing her thing, vibrating high, and the universe was like, oh, we're going to get you one step closer to Taylor. And I know that she's going to get to meet or have some sort of interaction with Taylor Swift. I know a lot is really good that is coming for her, and I know that that is serving a purpose in her life. And so last night we were having a ball looking over, seeing Carly, my little sister, sitting next to Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. And Travis and Jason are really big in the news right now. Taylor Swift's really big in the news. Travis and Jason are big in the news. Travis and Taylor, big in the news. Now again, I know the news is not the highest frequency thing, but I am just feeling like enjoying everything that life is offering is so important right now. And that if things are going missing or not going right, that's because there's big gifts coming big gifts. And my sister was just so happy and just having so much fun, and we were having so much fun between the home runs in the game and seeing my sister. And there's all little TikTok videos, which if I can put one video or picture up in this, I will show you. Just so much fun. And I think if you're not having fun right now, if you're not enjoying some aspects of life, there is the work aspect, but if you're not finding lots of joy, that is why these things are happening. It's because we're missing the mark, because as time goes on and the continuum breaks down, if we're vibrating low, if we're working too hard, we're going to be manifesting more experiences that will equate to that. But even those experiences will be loving opportunities to shift us upward. So that's what I wanted to say about the time warp continuum. All right, guys, that's the video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being here on the way to the Phillies game right now. Hope they win. We'll see what happens. And have a lovely day. I love you all so very much. Bye.